So, why don't we call to order at 6:03? Is there a public comment on anything that's not about to be discussed on the agenda? Or public comment in general, I guess. Okay. Anyone want to add anything to the agenda? We're good? Okay, great. Do you want to review and approve the minutes from June 12th? Anyone get a chance to check those out? Okay, we can always approve them at the next meeting if we'd prefer.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get a chance to read them.
Okay, that's fine. I'll table that. Great. All right, we'll table that till August. Any correspondence? Not that I recall, and we're a virtual meeting, so we don't know what's in our mailbox. Generally not too much though. And there's no new business we want to talk about, which brings us to old business. Number A, BCC membership. We have an opening for a new member. I had someone reach out who couldn't make it to this meeting but was interested, and I sent them to the website for more information. They haven't gotten back to me yet, but we'll see. They might come to our meeting. So look at that. That's good. I sent out the front porch forum thing, and that's it. That's all I got. So if anyone knows anyone that wants to join, that would be nice. But I sent out the front porch form a few days ago, and we'll see where we go from there. Does anyone have anything to say about that? Great. Okay, cool. This will be a quick meeting at this rate. Bristol Pond Dam update, continued discussion. I have nothing to say on this topic. Anyone have anything about this?
I will report that I emailed the Moncton Conservation Commission just to bring this subject up to them and ask if they wanted to join a future meeting with us. I believe they have their meeting also on Thursday evenings, the second Thursday of the month. So it may be something where we would do a joint meeting in a future month. But I just barely emailed them this morning, so I have not heard back, and I will report back what I do here
Okay.
coming weeks.
And I know we had talked to Nancy, and I had talked to Zaylee about making sure she was informed for the meeting, and I was expecting her to be here to talk about that. So I don't know anything I can add. I know she told me she was planning on talking about that with us though. Let me make sure I don't have a text from her. I do not have anything from her. Yeah, I don't have anything from her about that. So I guess we'll just I don't have any updates. Like, I know it's a big deal, but I don't know anything about it. So I guess we'll have to leave that there unless she signs on, and then we'll be able to ask her if she has more info. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. That brings us to parks updates, which Aiden had emailed earlier and said he specifically wanted to talk about that with us today. So hopefully he'll sign on for that. But otherwise, we could just skip ahead to the Seth Hill management plan in the meantime, and then we'll see if he wants to join on to talk about the Sycamore things or other things he said he was interested in. Kristen, would you be able to maybe share that document with the group, and then we could go through it together? Would that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
I think we also all have that in our email as well, if you'd like to look at your own copy of it.
Yeah, you should have. I did not change it since I sent it to the commission before last month's meeting, so it should be the same.
Great.
Yeah.
So that means you should be able to look at your own copy if you would prefer, or I think we're going to get, let me make sure I have this set. It's weird for me to run the meeting on the town's account exclusively. I usually have both accounts open.
Says I have
and
share.
You can do it. Fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Good.
Was that part of the unusual sign-in because this is more of a remote Zoom versus doing it through the town?
I don't know. I always start it with the town account, but then I'm usually
Uh-huh.
there in person on the account, and I have my
Yeah.
own computer open with my like documents. So
There
for
was
me,
there
it's
was a
different.
there was a whole authentication process for me to
Oh,
get onto this Zoom
that-
call.
That's probably a new Zoom thing, is my guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I usually have 2 computers for the meeting and I have 1 computer today, so I have so many windows open right now.
I see. All right.
No, it's all good though. Okay, cool. So let's look at this management plan.
Okay, so we're tasked with writing these management plans for publicly owned parcels and town parks. And the commission writes them and then we pass them to the select board for their review and they can decide whether to adopt them or not, or make changes. So this is just the first draft for our Conservation Commission review. And it starts with a general description of the property, where it's located. We all know this now. A little bit of description of how it came to be acquired by Bristol. And this particular property, as we all know now, was acquired for the spring source of water that was historically piped downslope about 5 or 6 miles to the village of Bristol and used to supply the village water supply until about the mid 1990s when it was replaced.
That's
And
pretty recent.
yeah, fairly recent. That's true. This blue line indicates the outline of the property, and the spring is about in here somewhere at the end of the road. And so you can see that the town owns a good portion of the main stem of the tributary here that flows into Downingsville Brook, which itself flows into New Haven River, and then ultimately to the Otter Creek and Lake Champlain. And more recently, this parcel has been used just for sparse recreation, and then Don Gale of Twin Maple Sugar Works has had a lease agreement with the town of Bristol to maintain taps for maple sugaring on the parcel. Ecological setting, it's mostly forested, as you all saw on the walkthrough, other than the riverine or riparian areas along the stream. Some wildlife in the region, although we don't have any wildlife inventory for the property or parcel itself. No known archaeological inspections of the parcel. There's the main stream. Okay, so current uses, we usually take all of our town plans and split them up into active open space and passive open space. In this case, we don't have any active open space like recreation areas or parking lots.
I love, but there's not even a parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. There's just all passive open space.
Is the parking area that's just before the gate, we had 2 cars, maybe 3 that were there. Is that just somehow aside from the property and just convenient on somebody else's land? But we did have a little, there was enough for 3, maybe 4 cars that parked at the very base there by the gate.
Okay. I honestly don't know where that gate is with respect to the property boundary. So that's
Right.
something we could check on.
Sure. Okay.
That's a good point. So if it was inside the parcel, then that may be a small open space on the parcel, but if not, yeah.
Okay.
What makes it a parking lot? Like, is there a definition?
Space for parking.
Just any space.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be paved or gravel or anything.
no,
Okay.
no. It's really what would make it a parking lot is the use, like if it
Yeah.
has sustained use as an area where people park their cars, then that would be. Yeah. This map here is an excerpt or a piece of a map that David Brin prepared and was stored in the forest management plan that they prepared. And as Aidan has already pointed out, the US Forest Service Road, depicted here in yellow, may be off, because if you can see just very faintly on the ortho photograph beneath here, the actual forest road
Hmm.
follows this path, and
Ah.
for a short distance crosses onto a neighboring parcel. And
Wow.
so that's something that we need to resolve, is a more accurate depiction of where the Forest Service Road is.
When you said we need to resolve it, is it rather it needs to be resolved, but not determined by who or
What
whom?
I mean is, yes, it does need to be resolved, and what I meant by saying that was, rather than using an excerpt of David Brin's map, I can generate a new map on orthophotos that actually shows the fact that the Forest Service Road passes along this slightly different
Right.
trajectory, and in fact crosses into the neighboring parcel. So I can work to swap out this map and make my own map.
Kristen, I'm just wondering who is in charge of all this property for the Forest Service, right? Like, is there a county person that we could contact and ask questions like this to? Like, how does that land get managed?
Yeah, so the Green Mountain National Forest owns land up here and to the east and to the south of this parcel. And yes, they're managed by different districts. And I believe that the district in charge of this part of the Green Mountain National Forest is operating out of Rochester, Vermont. So, and there should be a person that we can contact. And I believe Aidan was reaching out to
Oh, maybe that's what we want to talk
representatives of
about.
the
I'm not
National
sure.
Forest about this forest road. Yeah.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
So some of the issues have been erosional impacts from past floods on not only that road network, but also the abandoned skid trails that are further uphill on the parcel in the forest and no longer used, but can serve as a way to funnel stormwater runoff. And the project or grant that was secured by Vermont Family Forests on behalf of the town of Bristol last summer was designed to address some of that erosion by bringing into compliance with AMPs, acceptable management practices for logging, by installing these broad-based dips and other features that are there to slow and sink and divert runoff and prevent or reduce some of that road erosion. There's also access to maple sugaring that is at issue here, because now with those improvements to the roads, they're doing a better job of directing stormwater runoff and reducing erosion, but they make it difficult for the leaseholder to access not only our town of Bristol property, Seth Hill, but also the neighboring or adjacent national forest lands to administer their maple syrup taps, maple sugaring taps. And so that issue is documented here. And in order to facilitate access to those taps this past winter, Don Gale and others put in small logs in the broad-based dips so that they could more easily pass over the road to get up to the sugar taps. Now here in red, I've got some
That picture,
placeholders.
by the way, I recognize my jacket, so that's a
Yeah.
recent photo
Yes,
of,
I pulled that from your
yeah.
photo from your field trip.
Yes.
Here's some placeholders. Did you all hear of or notice any unsanctioned activities at the Seth Hill Park when you did your field trip, or things like use after dark? And if not, then I'll just delete this from the plan.
No.
I do not recall any discussion about
No,
any
Okay.
issues.
Okay.
or any evidence thereof.
Okay.
You mean
How
like
about
beer cans
tra-
mostly, like on the ground and campfires and stuff?
Okay.
No, I'm asking, like that kind of thing?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing any.
No.
Or it could be like Sycamore Park. When we did some walkthroughs, we noticed that ATVs were on the property and kind of tearing it up. So that might be another example of an unsanctioned activity.
Hmm.
My understanding is this gets very, very limited usage, and maybe by some cross-country skiers, possibly some mountain bikers, and just hikers. But I just, it's so off the beaten path that there's
Yeah.
not that type of pull off the road and leave your trash off to the side. And that's
Cool.
a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. And similarly, no evidence of trash when you were there.
That's right.
Mhm.
Okay. Another really cool thing about this property is that, at least based on the inventory that Vermont Family Forest did a couple of years ago, they did not see substantial evidence of invasive species on the property. And so that's kind of a rare thing in, in this day and age. And maybe we need to think about a plan to prevent or maintain that status, right? Like prevent new introduction of invasive plants.
I wonder if that's because it's relatively high up in altitude and it's pretty darn secluded.
Yeah,
And that's what makes sense to me.
yep. Something I thought of is that the seeds and fragments of invasive species can be carried on excavator equipment. So maybe we want to just keep an eye on the vicinity of the work that was done a year ago, make sure that no new invasive plants are taking hold there.
Hmm.
Motorized vehicle use, very occasional use by ATVs. If you agree with this statement as a commission, um, we might want to advise the select board that we discourage motorized vehicle access and even put signage there
Mhm.
and make that known on the website descriptions of this parcel.
Yeah, I think arguably what you just said about invasives is a good reason, right?
Yeah, that too. Okay. Um, we've talked a lot about making our town-owned parcels more accessible to those who are differently abled. I kind of made the executive decision that this parcel, it may be difficult to do that at this parcel to make it more accessible, given how steep the terrain is. And then we do have other parks in Bristol where we are actively working to improve accessibility. So that's the reason for the language that I put in here, but I'm totally open to thoughts of other members of the commission.
Yeah, personally, I think that this makes sense because it's not a park so much as it's a parcel that the town happens to own that has more conservation commission, more conservation, I don't know,
Objectives
goals,
or
objectives than other places like the Sutters River access, as opposed to being a park per se, right? Like
yeah,
we're not really inviting the public in or having it as that sort of park setup. It's really more just land that the town owns for other uses, right?
I
that's a
could
good,
foresee
Ecosystem services.
many years in the future that with more population or other reasons that people might want to access that parcel. But I put it in the same category as Saunders, where it's not encouraged by any stretch. So uh,
okay,
I don't see any reason to promote any extra traffic there.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with your executive decision there.
Okay.
Yeah, likewise.
So management objectives, given all of that we've discussed, um, I listed these as likely uses of the parcel: hiking, snowshoeing, cross-country, wildlife trackers, anglers, bird watchers, hunters. That we, for example, allow hunting on Memorial Park, I believe, as well. So I'm open to thoughts about that. I think historically hunters have used the property, especially to access the Green Mountain National Forest as well. And we can pursue and enhance educational use. Enhancements to accessibility should be balanced against the parcel's limited size and a recognition that 3 other larger town parks provide greater opportunities for accessibility.
Does it have 3 large, just say several, maybe?
Yep, that,
It's unclear
Okay.
exactly how many parks we even have and all that.
yep,
Because there's Eagle and Sycamore and the Town Green and arguably Memorial, which is
Yeah,
4
good point.
anyway, so. And then you throw in a shack at picnic table or the Lord's Prayer Rock and it gets too
yeah,
confusing.
why not?
Just say several.
There you go, okay.
Mhm.
And then public access to the parcel should be weighed against the protection of sensitive natural and cultural resources, is something that we've said in our other management plans, but that's
Mhm.
where we're allowing for conservation objectives as well as recreation and public access. Yeah.
Is the cultural, is that meaning the dam structure?
Yeah, the spring box, the spring,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
you know, I guess arguably that could be considered a archaeological, a recent archaeological resource. Right? Okay. So we don't have active open space, we don't think. I'll check on the parking lot. Riparian zone, we allow for 50 feet setbacks from this channel. And then within the passive open space, which essentially is the whole park, we're saying that we would promote photography, wildlife tracking, birding, etc. Hiking, snowshoeing, this gets continued on the next page. Hunting, historical education. This first column is the riparian zone, and so I didn't include geocaching. If everyone knows what that
Oh,
is, like you
mhm.
store a little box and it's a activity for folks to be able to navigate to that location and find it and leave a note that they found it. And so I just didn't want it to be in the river corridor and then get washed away in a flood.
Yeah, totally.
So we could encourage that in the other upland areas, but not so much in the riparian areas.
Mhm. And the maple sugaring under lease agreement is in the riparian zone, is that right?
Yes, I do believe they crossed
Okay.
the
But
creek.
I guess that's their property and their choice, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Like their lines could be at risk of floods, right? But
Mhm.
it's the risk that they take on. Day use site open from dawn to dusk, although this isn't formal, we could have signage to confirm this and make more folks aware of this.
Mhm.
All of our plans have this language in it. Motorized vehicles not permitted at the park outside of limited road and trail maintenance activities and access to the maple sugar bush by the leaseholder. How do
Mhm.
folks feel about that statement?
I think it covers it all. You had an earlier statement where it's just said no motorized vehicles, and I was thinking, well, with the exception of, but that it's spelled out there pretty comprehensively.
I can go back and make sure I clarify that language in the earlier part. That's a good point. Yeah. Horseback riding, do we have feelings pro or con about that on the trails?
I don't know
I
too
would
much
go
about it. I
I would
almost want
go
to hear
along
someone
with
who rides horses to say their piece, I don't know.
if we're
And
not
my
really
understanding,
allowing if we're not really promoting human activity up there, I think I would sort of find a way to include humans on horses, I guess. I don't know.
And I'm not sure with the way that that road has been redone, how conducive it is to horse riding anyway, and how amenable it is to horses with, especially with some of those rocks on either side of the berms and that. So I don't think it's a place where people would be agitating to go ride their horses right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Kieran's got a good point. You could end up with a lame horse there if just some of that, even if it settles in over time, uh, the weight of a horse could really just loosen up some of that riprap type stone.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
So
and
yeah, I'd keep that.
mention it, like if you're gonna have that be a destination to ride horses, you'd have to trailer your horses there, and there's no
Mm.
real facility for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get any riders really fighting you over that.
Okay. Good. Okay.
We'll duke it out when the time comes.
There we go. There we go. Management roles. This is pretty much canned language that's in all of our plans that just describes who we are, who the rec department is, who the select board is, who the Department of Public Works and Bristol Trail Network is, and what relationship we have to the parcels. And so, for example, like the network of volunteers of the Bristol Trail Network could potentially be available for ongoing maintenance tasks at the Seth Hill parcel. It just talks about how each of these groups would be involved in the ongoing management of the park.
Looks great.
So here are the final recommendations. Continue active involvement as overseers of the protection and enhancement of natural and cultural resources. Continue collaborating with VFF on the forest management plans. Consider co-hosting an educational or recreational activity at the parcel in collaboration with Lincoln Conservation Commission. Since they're there, they're handy to that parcel. Maybe green up days. I could drop this if we don't think trash is a big deal up there.
Yeah, it sounds like there wasn't any, so you don't need to.
Yeah, I think that's a real stretch.
So we could delete that one. I'll delete that. Coordinate with experts, academic groups to conduct inventories. This is where we could bring in folks to do a plant inventory or a bird inventory or whatever as part of the education and
Right.
so forth. And develop management plans for the invasive species. Continue to work cooperatively with the other departments. Rec department continue to perform periodic inspections. I think Aiden will do that, and it doesn't have to be as frequently as he does our other town parks, but consider signage on the dawn to dusk. Consider signage to clarify motorized vehicle use is prohibited. Initiate and support educational recreational activities. Select board works with us involving cultural resources. They will continue to administer the leaseholder agreement for maple sugaring, including amending the agreement to clarify responsibility for maintenance of the drainage structures installed in 2024 and subject to operation and maintenance requirements under the agreement between Town of Bristol and Addison County River Regional Planning Commission. So that's something that we'll need select board feedback on.
That's
Mhm.
pretty big.
It's quite big. We could word that differently. I'm open to your thoughts on that as well.
I mean, I guess just continuing what they're already doing though in that regard, right?
Well, so for example, they did add those small logs in the dip structures to make passage easier. One would then think that adding that material might reduce the effectiveness of those broad base dips to carry stormwater in a big gully washing storm like we're having today.
Right.
So maybe we need to clarify, it's fine if you put those in the winter to make your passage easier, but then you have to pull it out after at the
Mhm.
end of the season or something like that.
Interesting. I felt like Aiden had really got a chance to touch base with a lot of the players on this
Yeah.
parcel, and he may have the best handle on that particular bullet point.
Yeah.
It occurs to me, Kristen, not to add to your work, but is there a cut and paste possibility of sending some of this on? Because I know that the rec park and obviously maybe the town works department, you know, they want to be aware of what's being added to their workload and
Yeah.
so on, and just to have their direct input versus this being in a plan that they may not really have a chance to see and could be approved by the select board, and then all of a sudden it's kind of right in their lap maybe. I don't think there's
Yeah.
much, but just to have them
You
have
you
a
mean like
chance.
send these recommendations to the rec department?
Well, yeah,
and-
just, I mean, and then yeah, obviously they could read the whole plan, but the specific portions that relate to their involvement.
Yeah, and that would have an impact on their workload. Yep.
I think so, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. We can definitely key them in to look at certain pages here and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the end of it there. So, but that's the point.
sorry.
Well taken. We
On the
can,
select board piece, should we also have something about like work with the under concept, maybe work with the Conservation Commission to also consider like why we own this property or should we own the
oh,
property or like the
yeah,
future of the property, right? It's
yeah,
unclear why they didn't just sell it in 1995, right?
right.
So something that alludes to that might be nice to leave the door open for the future kind of conversation. Like, do we even want this anymore?
Hmm.
It's a consider um evaluating future plans for the parcel. I'm not very
Yeah. Yeah,
articulate.
I'm just thinking like, why do we own it? Is it to preserve that water? Like, couldn't the, state, would the Green Mountain Forest take that over if it's right there or the Forest Service? Um,
I have
and
an
this is before the town.
ancillary question related to that, which is, Kristen, you must know a lot of towns have their own town forest, which was related back when a lot more firewood was used. Do we have a portion of a town forest? And by default, I mean Hogback with Ken Johnson. I mean, there's a lot of forest up in those acres, but it's sort of a dual function. It's no longer acting as a water resource, but it's clearly had skid roads and was actively logged at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we in fact this parcel was referred to as Bristol's town forest
Mhm.
in
Ah,
recent communications from the Regional Planning Commission. So in
huh.
some regional and state records, they think of Seth Hill as Bristol's town forest.
Okay.
Um, whether or not that's how Bristol thinks of the parcel is another question, but um, yeah. But that could be included as well, like potential for
I mean, unless the town needs to raise money, they're paying probably very minimal taxes on it, which are being offset by Don Gale. I'm
yes,
assuming, making a lot of assumptions here, are probably somewhat offset by Don Gale's access
yeah,
privileges and lease. So it's kind of a wash. And generally, I will say that the college, in those instances, it's better to control and own than to not
hmm,
have control and
Hmm.
have sold.
yeah, and yeah, those are all considerations. And others could say maybe this parcel represents a liability in terms of, you know, direct liability in terms of people that might get hurt on the parcel.
I don't
Or,
think so. I think, doesn't Vermont have a very liberal view of that with, when I was, my time on the Middleborough Area Land Trust with their trail around Middlebury, they're absolved, as far as I'm aware, of any injuries with people accessing the trail. I'm pretty
gotcha.
confident in that, unless
Okay.
that's changed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Got a thumbs up there. There we go.
Yeah. Um, well, I'm open if people have better suggestions for the wording here. But yeah, I think that it's a good point that you raised, Carolyn, that we should, the select board may want to consider
Yeah, we could just be
other
more
ways
vague
forward
instead
for
of
this parcel. Yeah, yeah,
you have your EG there, maybe just don't put those thoughts out there. Just say like, consider evaluating future plans for the parcel.
yeah,
All it needs, right?
yeah,
Yeah, without planning any direct thoughts on that. Yeah.
Because there could be a water reason that we don't know either. Like
yeah,
maybe it's a good backup for water. And I don't understand about how the water works in town, right?
yeah. I mean, we'd have to run a whole new line from there down to the village, but who knows? I mean, water could become very scarce in the future, so
Yeah,
it's good to have control over another water source. Yeah,
right. So yeah, so I don't know in terms of that kind of long-term planning. I don't know what they might be thinking or if they're thinking, but that's why I think we get vague. It's just like we should consider the future plans.
yeah,
Because it is weird to own that land in Lincoln, you know.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's a
Um,
very open-ended way to have it. So I think that's leaves it up to their discretion largely.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, we'll continue to collaborate with VFF to ensure the compliance with the use value appraisal program. So this parcel is enrolled in the use value appraisal program, which means that the property owner, Town of Bristol in this case, gets a reduced tax bill if they commit to keeping the land undeveloped and in a active forest or farm use, which they do. But that requires this periodic forest management plan that VFF is preparing.
Is that a new name for what used to be referred to, or maybe it's different from current use?
Same thing.
Okay.
It's the official name for it, the use value appraisal program, but
Ah,
colloquially, it's most often referred to as current use program. Yeah.
okay.
Um, and then these are in all of our plans too, like just monitor with the rec department concerning any unsanctioned or overnight activities or illegal activities and
Okay,
provide oversight. So that's it. I can
that
take
looks great.
take your comments and I'll check in with Aiden about updating this statement. And then does this board want to see the revised plan next month, or do you want me to just send it to Ian, our town administrator, to have him bring it forward to the select board?
Yeah, I think that makes sense I trust that this is already such a great document. I trust that you can make those changes in conjunction with people we talked about and just move that to the next step and there'll be a new town administrator soon, I think, too, so.
Yeah.
I have confidence also in you, Kristen. I always have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and so we have this plan, and if you remember, we have the sorry, I'm spacing on it. The Lord's Prayer Rock park. We did a plan for that maybe almost a year ago now. And
Yeah, I never went to the select board, right?
we never went to the select board with it because they wanted us to kind of store up a couple plans at a time before we brought them. So when I send this one forward to Ian, I'll also remind him of the Lord's Prayer Rock
Right.
management as well.
I'm going to use a really weak analogy here. This was like a pop-up on our radar because none of us knew it existed really a year
Right.
ago.
Yeah.
And so would you say, is this the culminating plan of all of the others that,
Of all of them.
yeah, is that correct?
Well, there is, if we want to plan for Shackett's picnic area, we need to do one there. And if we want to plan for the town green, we could do one
The
there.
town green sounds like that's important, right? Because there's all
That's-
sorts of things people say are happening. Like I've heard this idea of like, oh, we can only plant the tree if one falls down. I'm like, is that written anywhere?
It's
There's no
not.
plan. So like, you can't just make
Exactly.
these things up, you know?
I was
Yeah,
I was about to offer up my standing ovation for all of your amazing work. However, I guess I will have to wait to.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kristen. It's really tremendous
fun.
that
Yeah,
you,
I think it's worth a standing ovation. That's really good work, Kristen.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's
yeah.
fun. I enjoy doing it, and I especially enjoy the history part of it. So
Mm.
the town green will have a lot of cool history. So I'd be excited to do that one.
That would be so great if you could do that. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
wow, that would be really helpful for everyone, I think. Honestly, there's so many things with that, there's
Yeah,
the electricity and there's water and people use it on all these different things. And I think it'd be really important to
totally.
do that.
Totally.
Oh, and Aiden is here.
Hey, and the last thing to mention about the town green is I saw during the 4th of July parade, they are trying to do a crowdfunding, I guess, a pretty substantial amount for the fountain. Maybe
Oh,
there's somebody who has some more, probably Aiden. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
all, that's me. Yeah, it's my,
yeah,
yeah, the rec department. Yeah, on behalf of the rec department.
yeah.
Yeah. So I got select board approval in two phases, one to pursue it and come up with a plan, and then a second was to submit like the campaign and the sign and how we were going to track the money that was going to be community funded. So that was my second phase.
wow. Well, I don't want to interrupt our agenda, so that's an interesting conversation maybe for another time. It's a pretty full one.
Okay, so for the South Hill Management Plan, then, do we need to approve that through a motion, Kristen, or do you want to just go for it? Because we've all discussed it together.
I think that's how we've done it. All the other plans in the past is with a vote.
Okay, great. Would someone like to make a
I'm happy
motion?
to make a motion that we accept Kristen's very fine work on developing the management plan.
I'll second.
I'll-
Wait, Nancy, you got that? Okay, great. We've got a second from someone. Is that right, Roger? Is that
Yes, indeed.
okay? Okay, all those in favor of approving the management with the edits?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. So we'll approve that. She'll edit that and then circulate that back to the select board with the other one we talked about, Lord Prayer Rock, and then maybe work on the town green, which would be super cool.
Yeah. Yep.
If
Okay,
we,
fantastic. So that's finished. Let's back up a bit then to the Sycamore Park trails. And Aiden, had you been working on those this month? Would you like to fill us
yeah,
in?
I finished the second phase of the trail. There was a link I sent you guys also to the select board showing you basically like almost final product. It needs a lot more chips, but John Swepson has access now to dump all his chips on the trail. It'll take a significant amount to really get a thick layer on top of everything, but it's what a game changer in terms of safety and accessibility. There were people walking on it pretty much immediately after the excavator left. So
Wow.
Public Works did a great job. Cody did it like basically, we cut all the box elders that were broken and sickly and that were in the way. It wasn't too many, about 3 or 4 crowns of box elders that are about 6 to 8 inches thick. And we just used the sightline path that me and Ian kind of developed with the drone to get, an aerial view of like our approach and where we needed to enter and exit from the lower path there. And then after we laid waste to everything and chipped everything up, we had Cody from Public Works come in with an excavator and kind of just scrape everything back so that it's about 20 feet plus wide. And that'll
Holy
help.
Christmas.
Yeah, it'll help keep
Wow.
yeah, and it's all just a sandbar there, basically, for about 150 feet. a sandbar, with just knotweed. So a couple of box elders in there, but nothing substantial. There's no, there's no mature trees in the way. It was a straight shot. And it just dumps out to this nice little uh box elder at the end, which is tying in the bank that kind of leads into the shaly area of the river access. So you get a little shade spot. It's easily recognizable for people to come in and out, and you can easily back an emergency vehicle in there. So now it just needs more chips, and then in a couple of weeks, when I'm done with camps, me and John and Ian will do another sightline assessment, and then work on the upper path.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. So check it out. Like it's like a whole different ball game now
Yeah.
down to get to the
Hey, I
river.
know it was not on the other side of the park. You notice any apples on the tree?
Haven't noticed anything going on with the trees. Um, I've been on vacation too, so I haven't really been down there.
Got it.
I just started today back at the office, but I'll be down there to do my parks check tomorrow. So
Okay.
I want to just assess kind of everything, and I'll just do a tour and see how things look. But yeah, I've gotten lots of thanks and compliments for putting the path in, and people are enjoying it. So, and it gives a peace of mind to people who recreate there and to the town in terms of safety. So,
Tremendous.
I went out there with the kids and some friends, and we went right down the path like the day after you made it. We went
Oh,
out to the river straight out, and we started playing with nets and looking for little crayfish and stuff. And a tree fell right
yeah.
there, and it was so terrifying. And it was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. And the kids, within a minute, were making jokes about, "Well, good, the new path is there for emergency
Yeah,
vehicles."
totally. No, there you go. I mean, how unfortunately serendipitous, and I'm glad that nobody was hurt.
Yeah.
So, with that said, Ian had made a mention to me that that happened to you. So
Yes,
I
it was
reached out
his
to
kid. So.
Four Hills Farms, because there's a bunch of trees that are that river bank is failing pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to their contact and was like, hey, just want to give you a heads up. You're losing land and we're kind of gaining land over here. But also, there's a lot of trees that are in the river, a lot of obstruction. I'm not going to be doing any aqua chainsawing to those trees. And it's not too deep, but it's slippery, and I that's next level stuff that I don't want to deal with. And you can't put obviously a machine down there because there's laws around having operation in the river access. So I'm trying to hear back from them, and hopefully I'll hear back from them soon. I sent them a video of just kind of like what needs to be assessed and taken care of, and then maybe come up with an idea and some sort of cooperation where we can help them with the trees that are falling, kind of use them to mitigate the eddies that are forming around the banks that are tearing away with the trees that are there. If we had access, I think with an excavator, and then some chain and stuff, we could pull those trees in maybe a little bit, because they're not substantially big, but big enough that and far enough away from our side, the Sycamore Park side, that you wouldn't be able to, you know, move them. So
Mhm.
hopefully I hear back from them.
Yeah, well, I know Kristen was telling us about the rip wrap that they put in around
Yeah.
the other, by where the Notch Brook comes in, but that's been, what's the word you said,
Out-
flank or something, right?
Outflanked, yeah, but that was after the flood of the 70s
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
that was installed. So the river certainly has migrated over time. Yeah, any work in the river or in the, as you know, Aiden would require a river permit. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a longer or a bigger discussion to be had. But that would be the approach, ideally. Like, cut up the trees or figure out a way to access the trees safely, accessibly, to be able to pull them in, or if an excavator or a big excavator could claw them and pick them up and place them so that it kind of ties against that bank, Because what it looks like, what's happening is the river, when it does flood, it just slams into their their river bankside and then just carves it away. And that's why the trees are uprooting. Because really the soil is pretty tender. I've noticed on both sides. It's just a lot
Yep.
of shale and sand. So I think they're experiencing a similar issue in terms of trees just easily falling over. And I think the flood of '98 really changed the ecology and substrate around that whole river area in general, you know. So we'll see what happens. I hope to hear back from them soon.
Well, thanks. The path looks great. That was really awesome. It's really good work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Glad to
fabulous.
do it.
let's see. So we also did the Saunders River access site we visited as a group. Would anyone like to debrief anything from that we learned or saw or anything?
It was cool to see. I've never been there.
Yeah, Nancy was there and Nikki and Carolyn and myself. Was that it?
I think so, yeah.
I've seen it before, I believe last year, maybe as far back as the year before, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a ever-changing spot in some aspects.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was really impressed when you said that the bank had been just right up there in the grass and that buffer has really grown in. It's
Oh,
hard to even imagine that the river used to come right up to the fields there. It's just so thick.
yeah,
It's really coming back naturally and with the stuff that was planted as well.
yeah,
It looks like, I mean, it feels like such a success story for conservation. It's really cool.
yeah. Only in just 10 years that's been,
Yeah.
so that's great.
Yeah, and the fact that filling in with wetlands now across that, you showed us a bunch of maps and it seems like it's really working well ecologically to help with flood mitigation and help maintain that bank, which is really cool, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a cool
Was
spot.
was Steve or Bartlett one of the people along with Matt Witten that was involved with that section?
Yeah, Matt Winton, not the Addison County River Watch Collaborative, they were not involved, but Steve Bartlett as the restoration committee of the New Haven River Anglers was
Uh-huh.
involved in the plantings. In particular, they harvested a bunch of willow stakes and brought them to the site, and we stuck willow stakes in amongst the root wads that had been installed.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and Stever led the Middlebury football team and his alpine ski team as volunteers to help us plant all the trees, the bare root and bald and burlap trees that were a part of that buffer.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they did. Middlebury College really came through on that buffer. They were super helpful.
Yeah, he's a central guy and with some good contacts there for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then I'd like to also talk a little bit about just parks updates in general with Aiden, since he missed that piece, right when we sort of flipped over that when we came in. You said specifically in an email you want to talk about South Hill. We've already talked about South Hill management plan,
I
but we
just
know
had
if
an I
any.
had an update just so everybody's aware of the situation that
Yeah, go on.
that we've been discussing for a few weeks now. I got an email forwarded from the town administrator, Ian, from uh, Maddock, who is the Addison County U.S. Forest Service representative. And basically, in his email, it expressed that there was some large miscommunication in regards to what what is jurisdiction for them and what isn't, and what that road is supposed to be and what it's not supposed to be. So they still have full access to that road. And when they went there to review the water bar system, they said that that's not applicable for the road. And that if they had known or had clear understanding of what the approach was, that wouldn't be what it is today. So I basically reached out to Don Gale since they had, you know, all received this information, and basically now it's in the hands of um, the town administrator and all the parties involved to figure out what that's going to look like moving forward. But from my understanding, the amount of water bars and where they're placed and what it is isn't to spec for the U.S. Forest Service. That road is definitely viable for them and definitely under their jurisdiction. So I think there was some confusion around that. So
And to be clear, that all happened before we even knew it was our property, right? Like, isn't that how we even found out?
Well, we knew it was our property, but the Conservation Commission was not invited to be part of that conversation. And Valerie was
Conservation-
an administrator then.
yeah, so the conservation kind of from where we began, or where you guys began,
Yeah.
was to surmise was like the select board had a meeting and they're like with Don Gale and last fall with Don and David, and then there was kind of an impasse in the conversation in terms of like, well, we really don't know. The select board didn't really know. Nobody's really been on that land for a long time. They're not sure what this all means, but obviously Don was having issues accessing his land, so it kind of fell. It was suggested by the select board that the conservation commission kind of reach out and get the fuller picture for them. But now from my perspective, or from what I was asked to do on behalf of the town, which was to walk that land with Don and David, then come up with like a dossier on the whole situation so that we could get better understanding for the select board and collect on it and present it to them with this new piece of information from the US Forest Service, kind of like basically saying like our precedent is that we have full access to the road and that the road is ours, and that the water bars aren't aren't in our weren't discussed with us in a way that we understood. We have to figure out what's going on.
Right. And just to have been the history there, we were only told, congratulations, this grant has been received. And when I asked, whoa, this has fallen under our purview. What's this about? Like, should we meet? We were told everyone's really busy and they're not going to meet with us right now. So we were cut out of that conversation when I asked to be part of that conversation. Like, a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and
We were just told, congratulations, so we got this grant, and I was copied on it, and I was like, oh, does anyone want to talk to us about this? And they're like, nah. So
Yeah,
we really were cut out of the conversation early on before.
there's I feel, and from looking out coming in, I feel there was, I think a lot of people didn't really communicate in a way that this whole thing would be understood in terms of the grant.
Mhm,
So it just kind of went, for lack of a better term, like wild. And
mhm.
not all parties involved, especially as Forest Service, really understood the position of what Vermont Family Forest is doing, and then Don and Billy Orvis, and then also the Clarks, who have a parcel that goes to the other side of the road, the section.
Mhm.
They weren't, all these people weren't really communicated in a way that people understood really what was going on.
Yeah,
So now it's a matter of figuring out where everybody's responsibility lies.
yeah, what's
What needs to be done next? Yeah. So
and then Kristen, you were gonna email Aiden about some of the Seth Hill Management Plan languages, right? Just so you're aware to look for that email, Aiden,
cool.
right? Good.
I
Okay.
have a thought, well, just trying to sort of sum it up in my mind. It seems to me, Aiden, that with our little field trip up there, we got a good understanding from David and his perspective.
Mhm.
So that was and prior to that, we had a chance to review the select board meeting with Don there, David, and a select board, and a bunch of questions back and forth and so on.
Mhm.
Now, this is new information that the Forest Service went up there and said, "Oh, wait, this thing went a little out of, or maybe there was some overreach in the sense of doing it a little bit more than was sort of maybe laid out in the grant, and that it was maybe the berms were higher, maybe the water bars were uh, done differently than what they think should have been under the terms of the grant." So
Yeah.
is that fair to say? And then
Um,
Don, of course, with his access, that created, a lot of disharmony. And David's kind of standing by, no, no, these are done just the way they're
Right.
supposed to have been done. But now we have a conflicting report of a suggestion that no, they were done a little bit more with some exuberance, possibly,
Mhm.
and that Don Gale now is really the one person that's straddled with having to sort this out. And then, of course, the select board has to say, oh, I don't know how it's going to get resolved, but that's
Yeah.
the new twist of this is the Forest Service saying, oh, this was done a little bit differently than they would like to have seen it, and maybe what the terms of the grant were.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with that. And also, to add to what I read from Maddock, the U.S. Force representative in the email was he reiterated that there's a 1998 agreement with Don Gale for access for sugaring through that road.
Oh,
So
so they
that was
they
kind
have
of
an
a little bit,
agreement.
that was new information that wasn't privy to any of us. And I think
Yeah,
Don was trying to convey that, like, listen, I have these agreements with not only the town for like
yeah.
tapping, but like I have 44,000 plus taps on the national forest, which I have a long-standing agreement, access agreement with. So there,
If that was mentioned before, I probably lost track of that because
I mean, it
That's
was new
not
to
that's
me.
not on the Bristol property. That's just once he accesses and gets onto the National Forest property. But in order to get there, he has to go through the Bristol property. So it's
Exactly. And the road itself is the jurisdiction of the U.S. Forest Service
Hmm. Oh, that's
because
complicated.
they put the road in.
Like the entire
Mm,
road,
So
like from the street.
it's not a dormant road. It's to them it's a viable like current use road, and they have an agreement with Don Gale from '98 that
That's
that
that's the entire road, like
yeah,
from
that's the
the
road
street.
from like the gate all the way up, or
So Kristen, like on that
the
map,
upper
that we
the
showed.
upper road. So the
Yeah.
upper road access.
Okay.
And if you look at David's like aerial view, like topographical map, it indicates on the upper path that that's like a logging road, and that it's basically viable still, and that nothing would be it, but yet things were done with it, and they shouldn't have, or the understanding with the U.S. Force in that way wasn't right. So
mm,
it seems to me the crux of the matter is that if the Forest Service technically has jurisdiction over the road because they may have established it with agreement from the select board at one point, then they missed an opportunity to really be the oversight when David Brin was uh, utilizing the grant and the specs and so on. So that's what I kind of feel something went astray there.
yeah,
They
then they kind of have an omission of saying like, well, I mean, there was discussion about this, but I don't. They're also like, I think we didn't really have a full understanding of the approach, is
uh,
what they say. So that's when things, from them were like, whoa, whoa, this road is not dormant. Like this road is definitely viable and it's definitely under our jurisdiction. So,
And
wow.
and Aiden, I remember watching the video of the December select board meeting where I heard David Brin state that the US Forest Service has no plans to
right.
maintain forest roads. So that seems to be a statement at odds with what this new
Yes.
contact from US Forest Service is saying, so.
I think
Yeah,
the way
good point.
Don approached it was he was just trying to be like, well, I mean, I have these leases with the US
Yeah.
Forest. And I think he was trying to express that. And I think with David, he was like, oh no, it's the dead road. But
Right,
it's not at all. And the US
yeah,
Forest Service is like, whoa, like, no, this is definitely our road. And
yeah,
they're like, we guess we didn't really understand what was going on. We knew of it, but I think it was just a little a culmination of undersight from all parties and miscommunication about what the intention was.
Yeah, Jim.
You might want to check the town records. If the Forest Service claims jurisdiction, that means they have a right of way over the land, which would have had to been on file at the town clerk's office.
Sure.
yeah,
And I have similar situation on my property where they have a right of way, and they can or cannot do whatever they want. They can maintain it or not, and they don't like to spend money, and they don't like to close roads, because I've been trying to get my road closed for 35 years. And Chris Matrick is the district ranger for this whole area.
Yeah.
And he's
Yep.
good. He's good. He's easy to deal with. And if he tells you something, you can bet it's good.
Yep.
Okay, that's
You raise a good point, Jim, that even just a quick, I could do a deed search for the parcel and find that right away agreement, and it sounds like it was from around 1998, so, yeah.
Thanks for the update, Aiden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Do you have anything else you want to say about Eagle or any other place you've been the last month? We good?
Yeah,
I don't like move it
that-
along unless
yeah,
you're good.
yeah, no, totally. I think that's what I had, and I just wanted
Okay.
to share that update with you in terms I received this, I think of that email on the 3rd, so.
Okay, cool. Just to make sure we touch base. Okay, that sounds
Yeah.
great.
So
Thank you so much for all that. That's awesome. And then let's move along then to the Timberlands Multi-Trail Partnership. Roger, you got anything on this?
I finally sent the email, and I'm waiting on a response. So
Okay.
I've been out on personal business, and I'm back. So
Okay. Glad to have you back.
thank you.
That's great. So maybe we'll talk about that in August, you think?
Yeah, that's my goal.
Okay, great. That's lovely. And then, or unless anyone else has anything to say about that trail. Okay. Educational outreach on bears, debrief. You want to talk about bears? Was Zaylee gonna contact her to figure out when to do that talk? Is that right?
Somebody was going to be trying to check with Don Mitchell and Cheryl Mitchell, because they had done a talk at New Haven that I mentioned, and I thought that would be helpful because maybe they were willing to do a talk for Bristol, or at least act as a resource about the organization which they're connected with.
Do you want to do that? I don't know who those people are. I mean, I recognize the name, but
Well, I thought the point was that Zaley was gonna, or somebody was reaching out, and it was already in play.
oh. Anyone? No?
I think that's Zaley was.
That was a Zaylee thing. Okay, we'll just table
It
that.
should be in the minutes.
We didn't approve the minutes.
That's right. We need to approve them.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just table that until Zaylee can
Are
join.
we in June?
Okay, I'll just pop that over to next. There's no immediate rush. It's the middle of summer. So I'll just pop that over to the next meeting, and hopefully Zaylee will be at that one and she can talk to us about
I
that.
mean, the ideal time to do that is probably around February, maybe, because then you're really right around the corner, possibly as late as March, when bears are coming out of hibernation, and there's just that much interaction within the village and other places, with bears wanting to get into all sorts of bird feeders and everything else.
Yeah, I think Caitlin said she wanted to do one for fall and again in spring possibly, but then wasn't sure about maybe the Mitchells, if that's in New Haven. So That's fine. We have time. We'll just table it. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Other organizational items. Nancy, did you figure out what minutes we're missing?
Yes.
Okay, so what do we need?
Let me move some stuff so I can see it. We need for 2025, we need January and February.
Okay.
August of 24, we had no meeting. Is that correct? There wasn't one listed, so I'm guessing we didn't have one.
Usually we do a planned hiatus in August. This year we're gonna try to do one only on Zoom, I think is our plan. But we normally cancel that. I think we may have also canceled July last year.
I believe it was
Um,
both months.
I
That's
think we did July and
accurate.
August last year, yeah.
And then, so we had all of 24 was good. I don't know how far back you wanted me to go.
Oh no, just for this, mostly just the transition because Helen left and then we had to have the annual meeting, but then we didn't have the annual
Yeah.
meeting. That we had the date wrong. Then we didn't have quorum or something like that. And then we got pushed again. So there's like 3 months, like yeah, like January, February, March, April.
January and February.
Sure. Okay, and then March, April, May, June. June we just tabled. But what about March,
Yes.
April, May?
They were May. I sent it to her to share Sharon.
Okay.
So yes.
Are we good
from
on
the
March? Are we good on March and
So-
April then?
website. Those were on there.
They're on there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. So we'll have to just
January and
find
February.
January and February and email those to you. Great. I'll try to find those and email them to you. I'll see what I have in my inbox in case those went just to me, or maybe, well, I'll do that. That sounds great. I'll send those to you.
I have a question.
Yep.
I saw when we started up the Zoom that there was an AI like transcription of it. Where does that go? Who looks at it? And does that make sense to throw in with the minutes at all?
I don't know what the rules on that would be. We try to have the videos are collected and they go to Neat TV where they're posted, and then almost no one watches them, which is fine, but it's out there. And then in terms of the minutes, we have minutes that are taken by a clerk, which then are submitted and approved and all that, and then those are posted. Those become public record. I don't know what the rules would be around AI taken. An AI version of a transcript that's something that like is part of open meeting laws yet. So for now, we don't have those available.
It'd be interesting to see if it's happening right now, right? From what it seemed like Zoom warned me whenever I signed on, to look at, Nancy, like what you end up with at the end of this meeting and just look at what it generated as I don't know, something
Yeah.
interesting to start looking into possibly.
Yeah, I think we often sort of summarize things in the minutes. They're not supposed to be word for word, because we want to make sure that people feel they can. We had the sort of the gist of what was said, like the meaning of sort of what the conversation landed on, as opposed to every individual comment, which makes it easier to sort of sort of more of a summary of the conversation.
Yeah, I'm not in disagreement with that. That is, again, I haven't done it on Zoom per se, but I've done it on a lot of other ones. It's not, I said transcription, that's not fully accurate, right? But a lot of the AI models now will give you exactly what you're saying. And yeah, I mean, I've read the minutes, I know like the format. So again, I'm just kind of interested to see how those line up or if they do.
Yeah, I don't know where they go. It's on the town's account. In the early days of Zoom, there was the um, I used to have to download the video and then we upload it to the clerk. And it was a big old mess. And now it usually just, I don't know, or it goes on the cloud now, or it used to sometimes go on the town's laptop. So I actually don't even know where this one is being recorded to right now. For all I know, it's going to my computer, or it could be going to the cloud, and I won't know till I turn off the meeting. Because this is an unusual meeting where it's all on Zoom. So I actually don't know what's happening.
So Roger, a quick Google search. It says that the admin can sign into the Zoom portal and navigate to and find the transcription there. That's, I guess, where it is.
If we were going word to word, the 2-pager is going to turn into holy Christmas.
Yeah, I'm interested if it's
It just
word for
doesn't,
word
the
enough.
word to word isn't even useful though, but you can
No.
ask AI to summarize though.
Yeah.
But then you want to approve what it did.
Yeah, I guess I'm mostly just curious to what it comes out with.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I've never seen that
I've
before.
used or I've looked at with my Zoom recordings the AI transcripts. It's shockingly good Zoom compared to some of the others. So it could be a good reference, you know, if we ever wanted to go back and double check something. But it's very good. I'm quite surprised compared to a lot of AI transcriptions. I find Zoom very accurate with its transcription, and so it could be a useful resource if we ever wanted to go back and, hey,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what did we say about that?
Kieran,
It
do you
it
have
could
to?
save our
you
clerk the time from doing it.
I'm
if all
saying
of this
I
then-
feel we vote Zoom AI as the new clerk.
Right. That's
I think this is what I'm getting out of this.
You
carrying
could
out
do that. You could download it and then edit it and ask it to generate a summary of each agenda point and then edit it as appropriate for tone and things, right?
because you might also get timestamps, right? A lot of the transcription.
There are timestamps.
Yeah, exactly. And so not only is it about what we talked about, but it's like, hey, click here and go watch the video. So like if I don't care about this stuff, if I'm just a person coming to look at it, I don't have to watch an 1.5-hour video, but I do care about what y'all talked about at Seth Hill. And so I just want to click and actually go watch the part about Seth Hill without having to shuttle through it all. So some of those things, yeah, and Kieran, you've used it before, then like sweet. I've used a couple other ones and they work really well.
Yeah, I've only ever seen that we just have the video that's just on Neat TV that you can just hit play. So I don't know, that's maybe a question for Neat TV as well, is what they're doing with it, or for the maybe admin or clerk as to how they're managing the town's accounts. Like I sign in, but I don't know how to use what their settings are and all that sort of thing they're having. So if that's what you're interested in looking into though, that would be great. I could add that to the agenda for next month if that's what you're interested in pursuing, or if it was just an idle comment, then we don't have to pursue that.
Do they maintain an archive, Roger and Kieran?
Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom. Yeah, it'll be like as part of your account, as long as you have the server space for it. It will be alongside in a package along with every video recording of every Zoom conversation. So as long as you have the server space, or you can download it, but they keep it up on the cloud as long as you keep it up on the cloud.
Ah,
If that makes sense.
Mhm.
it sounds like we should grab it as it's after the meeting, and then do our own archive rather than rely on them, unless it's thought that everybody feels it's better to have that. But we have to maintain some level of it. Sounds like.
Yeah, what you said, right? Just snag it down just like you would the video.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
one-click download. So
Yeah. What's the difference
Yeah.
between Neat TV and
The
the YouTube
the
channel?
town does all of that though. That's not
oh,
something.
okay.
Like
Yeah.
I don't do any of that. I don't know anything. I don't know what happens. I just do the meetings and then somehow Neat TV gets it. I don't know. That's not anything. I have no purview over that. So if you're interested in pursuing that, you could talk to the town about that and find out, but I don't know anything about it. Do you want to do that? Should I add to the agenda?
Sure. Yeah. Let's try it out. The town is a ubiquitous term. I don't know who the town is, I guess. Point me to somebody.
Shannon or Ian right now, although he'll be leaving that role shortly.
Like the kind of conversation the interim town administrator loves to have.
Well,
Yeah, good way.
also, like he's kind of still around. I mean, he's select board, so it's not like he's going anywhere, and he'll help. There'll be a transition period.
They may
With the
be
new-
doing it already for other committees, etc.
So I think it's fine if you reach out to Ian for that.
Okay, I'll add that to the agenda, and then Roger, you're gonna look into that as well as the trail stuff for next time.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then the last thing I have is webpage updates. Webpage updates. Oh, we have Alex officially listed as vacant, and now there's a new seat, which I talked about at the beginning. There was one sort of nibble of interest from some of the community, but they couldn't come to the meeting today. So I sent them to the website, and they're going to get back to me if they'd be interested in joining and coming to a meeting next month or the month after. And that is all we have planned. Anyone else have anything they wanted to talk about? Add any new business? Good. We have no events planned. We do plan to have our next meeting on August 14th on Zoom only. We'll email everyone ahead of time when I send out the draft agenda. And if we're not going to have a quorum, then I will cancel the meeting. And if you're not going to come, let me know so I don't put things that you talk about on the agenda. That'd be helpful. Just so we already know, because I know everyone's traveling in August and stuff. Okay, sound good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for being part of this Zoom only meeting instead of canceling like last year. And we're just looking for a motion now.
I'll jump in there.
Who's gonna
Motion
do
to
it? What's your
adjourn.
motion to adjourn? Do we have a second?
I second that.
Awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, the meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll see
Thanks.
you
Thank you
all
for
on
conducting a
Zoom in
wonderful
August.
meeting again, Carolyn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks,
Thank you,
Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
All right.
Bye.
Bye all.
See ya.
Bye.